You were born in the winter of 1623, in a wooden house perched on the edge of Edo's cold riverbanks. The air smells of damp tatami and ashes. Your mother hums a lullaby as the snow gathers on the roof. You do not know it yet, but you are born into a samurai family, low-ranking retainers under a powerful daimyo of the Tokugawa Shogunate. Your father wears his two swords with pride, though his armor is patched and his rice stipend barely fills the family's bowls. Your childhood is not gentle. At age 5, your father forces you to sit still in seiza for hours until your legs throb. Pain, he says, is the shadow of honor. You learn that emotion is a weakness, that tears are the first step to shame. When you fall during sword drills, the bamboo shinai strikes your back not once, but 3 times. Once for the mistake, twice to remember it. The sting burns more than the cold. At 8, you begin your first lessons in Bushidō, the way of the warrior. The monk who teaches you wears a brown robe and speaks softly, yet his words strike harder than your father's blows. Loyalty, he tells you, means dying without question, even if your lord commands you to cut down your own blood. You nod, not understanding, but the words burrow deep. When you are 10, Edo Castle becomes the center of every whisper. The Tokugawa rule has brought peace, a suffocating kind of peace. The great wars are over, but every samurai knows, in peace the sword rusts, and so does the man. Your father drinks more, stares longer at the blade he hasn't drawn in years. You watch him one night by the paper lantern. His reflection in the steel looks hollow, like a ghost already fading. The first shadow of betrayal touches your life that same winter. Your childhood friend, Ryo, the son of another retainer, confides in you. His father is secretly meeting a ronin who speaks against the shogunate. You swear to keep the secret, but when the magistrate's men come at dawn, both families are dragged to questioning. You see your father's eyes, not angry, but broken. Ryo's father is executed for treason. Yours lives, but your family is branded with quiet suspicion. You are 11, and the world has already taught you that silence can kill as surely as steel. By 14, your childhood has hardened into discipline. Dawn comes with the clack of wooden swords and the smell of cold rice. Your life is a rhythm of obedience. Bow, strike, clean, repeat. You train under Master Saito, a retired warrior whose missing fingers are trophies from old wars. He speaks rarely, but when he does, his voice cuts sharper than his blade. Victory, he says, is not in killing your enemy, it's in killing your hesitation. The dojo is a battlefield in disguise. Wooden floors stained with sweat, not blood, though sometimes you wish it were blood. Pain is proof that you still have something left to give. You and Ryo's younger brother, Kenji, become rivals in everything: form, speed, precision. But Kenji carries a quiet grudge. He never forgave your family for his father's death. You see it in his eyes every time his shinai strikes your ribs a second too late to be fair. One humid summer afternoon, you are summoned to the castle. The daimyo himself, Lord Matsunaga, wishes to observe the young trainees. He is a heavy man with a face as unreadable as ink on wet paper. You kneel, heart pounding, and when he orders a duel for display, you and Kenji are chosen. The crowd watches in silence. The first clash is clean, bamboo on bamboo, but when you disarm him, he lunges again, breaking protocol. Instinct drives your counterstrike, and your blow lands across his neck with a crack. Kenji falls, gasping. The room freezes. You didn't mean to hit that hard. Blood seeps through the wood slats. The physicians save his life, but his voice is forever gone. The daimyo's expression does not change. Control your mercy, he says coldly. Mercy breeds weakness. You bow, trembling. That night, you cannot sleep. The sound of your friend's strangled breath echoes louder than the cicadas. Word spreads fast. Some say you were ruthless, others that you were chosen, the daimyo's favorite now. Both rumors are poison. Your father warns you to walk carefully. The court rewards the blade that shines, he mutters, then fears its reflection. You rise in rank, assigned to serve directly under the castle guard. You polish armor until your hands blister, carry orders sealed with wax and secrets. In the grand halls, you witness what few outsiders see. Samurai who bow too deeply, courtiers who smile too sweetly, and a peace built on buried corpses. Then, one evening, you overhear whispers, a hidden meeting among senior retainers plotting to expose a corrupt tax official close to Lord Matsunaga himself. You are unseen in the corridor, but not unheard. When the daimyo's men purge the conspirators a week later, 3 heads roll. You say nothing. You learn the lesson every samurai must. Loyalty is not justice, it is survival. You are 19 when the first taste of glory and rot mixes on your tongue. The shogunate orders the suppression of peasant uprisings in the provinces, not wars, not even battles, just swift punishments disguised as law. You march with 100 men through rice fields, heavy with the stench of mud and fear. The peasants kneel before you, trembling, their eyes wide like cattle before slaughter. You tell yourself it is duty, not cruelty, when you draw your sword. But at night, the screams won't fade. Even the river seems to murmur them back to you. You try to pray, but your voice catches somewhere between the words. The ink of Bushidō feels blurred now. Where does honor end and obedience begin? When you return to Edo, the daimyo rewards you. A silver sake cup, your family's stipend doubled. You drink with your comrades, but the rice wine tastes of ash. You've learned to keep your doubts silent, buried under layers of ritual and politeness. Still, something shifts inside you. You start writing poems, haiku scrawled in secret, hidden in the folds of your armor. It is your only rebellion, to feel. Then, the first storm of real drama crashes upon you. Lord Matsunaga's eldest son, Nobuharu, accuses your father of falsifying records. A forged report, he says, about rice taxes during the campaign. You know it's false. Your father is many things, but not a liar. Still, the accusation spreads like wildfire through the castle. Whispers follow you everywhere. One evening, you return home to find your father kneeling before the household altar, his sword laid neatly before him. The candlelight flickers across his face, calm, resigned. The clan cannot bear another stain, he says softly. You fall to your knees begging, but the sound of steel against scabbard drowns your words. You watch, helpless, as he performs seppuku, hands steady, eyes dry. You hold his head when the second's blade falls, and for the first time, you realize how thin the line is between loyalty and murder. Your father dies, but his death elevates your family's honor in the daimyo's eyes. The household is cleansed. You are promoted to full samurai, allowed your own residence near the castle gates. The irony tastes bitter. At 21, Nobuharu summons you privately. His smile is that of a fox who has just stolen the hen. He speaks of reconciliation, of brotherhood among men of the sword. But in his gaze, you read something darker, suspicion, perhaps even fear. You bow low, hand on your blade, and vow silently. One day, his lies will not go unanswered. You rise in the ranks, but something in you begins to rot. Every promotion feels like a debt. Every smile from the Lord's court feels like a blade beneath the kimono. You keep your face calm, your gestures perfect, but inside, your blood boils. You are 28 when your vengeance finally finds its chance, and with it, your ruin. The shogunate sends you to oversee a border inspection in Shinano province, alongside none other than Nobuharu, Now, a senior officer swollen with arrogance and sake. The winter wind cuts through your armor like knives. You travel for weeks, your company weary, the snow staining every banner gray. On the third night, you discover a secret ledger hidden in Nobuharu's tent, lists of rice tributes siphoned, taxes stolen, and false seals forged in the daimyo's name. The same crime he'd accused your father of. You freeze, breath sharp as the frost, justice trembles in your hands. At last, you can restore your father's honor. But you also know the truth. Expose Nobuharu, and you invite your own death. For days you wrestle with the choice. Each time you draw your sword for morning drills, you see your father's calm eyes, his blood soaking the tatami. Honor, he had said once, is heavier than life. So you decide, not for vengeance but for truth. You send the ledger, sealed, to Edo with your signature. By the time you return, the court is already a storm. The daimyo rages, demanding heads. Nobuharu's men scatter like crows. But politics in the shogunate moves like a blade through silk, silent, precise, and merciless. Within a week, Nobuharu vanishes from his post. A rumor whispers that he has been transferred. Another says he's dead. You don't care to know which is true. Then, one night, as you walk through the empty garden, a shadow moves behind you. A blade flashes. You turn too late. The steel cuts across your shoulder, deep enough to burn. You catch a glimpse of the attacker's eyes, Kenji. Older, colder, his voice now nothing but a rasping hiss. "For my brother," he mouths before vanishing into the dark. You survive barely. The wound festers, leaving your arm stiff, your grip weak. Yet your greatest wound is unseen. The daimyo, once your patron, grows distant. Nobuharu's death has embarrassed him before the shogunate. You are useful, yes, but dangerous now, too principled for comfort. Years pass. Your hair begins to gray at the temples. You spend more time in the barracks, training younger men who bow too quickly, speak too loudly, and know nothing of real loyalty. Edo changes. Merchants grow rich, samurai grow poor. The peace that once brought pride now feels like a cage built of etiquette and hypocrisy. Then one evening, you are summoned to the daimyo's private chamber. He sits silent for a long time, the candlelight trembling across his armor. "You have served me well," he says finally, "but a sword that draws too much blood must rest." You understand. You're dismissed, politely, ceremonially, completely. The last shred of your father's legacy folds away like the paper screens around you. You bow deeply, knowing this is the end of your name's place in the castle. Outside, the snow begins to fall again. You catch one flake on your palm. It melts instantly, fragile, beautiful, gone. You are 42 when silence becomes your last master. Your sword hangs untouched on the wall, its blade oiled but idle. The stipend once paid for service now barely buys rice. You live in a small house on the outskirts of Edo, beside a bamboo grove that whispers in the wind like ghosts gossiping. Every dawn, you rise before the sun and bow to the east, not out of duty, but habit. The body remembers what the soul wishes to forget. Children pass by your gate, laughing, pretending to be samurai. Their wooden sticks clash in rhythm, echoing the sound of what you once were. You almost smile. Almost. Then the pain in your arm reminds you of Kenji's blade, still lodged somewhere deeper than flesh. At night, you write haiku by candlelight, the ink trembling with each brushstroke. Honor bleeds in snow, names fade, but ghosts still whisper. Loyalty burns slow. You have learned that peace under the shogunate is not a gift, it is a leash. The samurai have become administrators, collectors of rice, decorators of ceremonies. Their swords glimmer, but their spirits rust. And you, once the embodiment of that fading code, feel like a relic no one dares to throw away. but no one remembers to honor. Then, one afternoon, a visitor arrives, a young samurai in fresh armor, bearing the crest of your old daimyo. He kneels and speaks your name with reverence. "The Lord remembers your service," he says. "He asks that you train his son in the old ways before they vanish." You hesitate, but accept. The boy is bright-eyed, eager, unscarred. You teach him the cuts, the stances, the philosophy of Bushidō. But you also teach him something forbidden, that loyalty without conscience is not honor, but slavery. He listens, silent but attentive, and one evening he asks, "Sensei, if the Lord commanded you to die unjustly, would you obey?" You pause. Once, you would have answered without thought. Now, you simply say, "I would obey the truth." Years later, you hear that the boy grew into a wise retainer, loved by his men, and eventually executed for speaking against the corruption of the court. You feel no despair, only a grim peace. The seed you planted bloomed, even if it was crushed underfoot. Winter returns again. You feel it in your bones long before it reaches the door. The cough has worsened, the blood in your handkerchief deepening each day. You clean your blade one last time, though you know you will not use it. It gleams faintly in the lantern light, reflecting the lines of your face, half warrior, half ghost. As dawn breaks, you sit facing the garden, the bamboo swaying like mourners. You whisper a final prayer, not to the gods, but to your father, to Rio, to all those swallowed by this peaceful age. "If there is an afterlife," you murmur, "may we fight again for something that matters." Your breath stills. The candle burns down. And outside, the shogunate marches on, orderly, eternal, indifferent.